Well, hello there, and welcome back to the very latest episode of the Love Machine podcast. Now, in today's episode, we're diving headfirst into the world of dating rules, or should I say, BS dating rules. That's right, we're calling out the outdated advice, the questionable strategies, and the downright laughable rules that have been plaguing the dating game for far too long. From the infamous 3 day rule to the ever elusive spark, we're debunking them all with a twinkle in our eye and a wink to the absolute sheer absurdity of it all. And to help me, I have the absolutely incredible, inspirational, unbelievable Cherie Jones as my guest. She is the no BS dating coach and is going to show us all how dating is done with her brand new company, LGIO. She is creating the much needed change in dating with back to basics, face to face coaching, enabling happier, healthier humans to go out and be more successful in the dating world. So please get ready to laugh, to cringe, and maybe even rethink a few of your own dating strategies. Because here at the Love Machine podcast, we believe in keeping it real, keeping it fun, and above all, keeping the love alive. Cherie, how you doing?
Hi, James. That was amazing. Thank you. What an introduction.
There you go. I promised you a good one. So hopefully
You
that was
you
good enough for
outshone
you.
yourself. That was
I outshone.
incredible. Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you.
I felt
It's
some pressure for
exactly.
you to do that. So I'm very, very
Well,
glad.
no, because I compliment your style of introduction did not mean that I expected that. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. And
No,
also calling it out straight away, like exactly what we're going to be doing today. So that's really cool.
we are. So the first question I want to ask you, how did you
Ask away.
become the no BS dating coach? How did that happen? Why did it happen?
Why
How?
did it happen? Okay, so firstly, I was single and still am single. So 6 years of dating in Plymouth, Bristol, Exeter, surrounding areas, and using every app that we are recommended by everyone. Jumped in kind of feet first, thinking this is going to be easy. And probably like most people have found when they've come out of a long term relationship, the game has changed. Like dating, where you used to go out on a night out, you like someone or you like someone in work, and then you hit it off and you matched eyes and you swapped numbers and you met each other every weekend, has gone. And now there was loads of weird hoops that you had to take in tests that we were all giving each other, not just women. And I was like, I can't play this game anymore. Created through coaching courses with Matthew Hassey or go and becoming a certified life coach, all to understand what I wanted in a partner was actually becoming the partner I wanted. So it was more about a relearning of how my behaviors and my actions have created some environments I didn't want to be in,
Mhm.
along with the men as well. And then adding the fact that people are following now social media norms. We are jumping on the red pill vibe of, hate women and met women saying we hate men and we can do it on our own and realizing that we were all losing.
Yeah,
So for me to come and try and dominate Plymouth and help us become better daters was the ultimate goal. And also for the generations to come after us to benefit from us rethinking how we treat each other.
I love that. That's so true. We need to think about that. And I want to teach my kids how to be better humans and better partners, better friends. And it's so important
Yeah.
because the advice everyone's given right now is pretty shoddy and pretty awful. And I don't know about you, but I'm often asked to give interviews to journalists of stuff that people have just made up based on TikTok stories to get press. Have you seen that? I'm not going to name
Yeah.
these things now because I've still done them. I'm still giving them the advice and the quotes for these
Yeah.
articles, but people are making things up. Red flags, blue flags, orange flags, rainbow flags, all complete nonsense just to get a story. So people are so confused and they don't know what's true and what's not.
Mm.
So you're the no BS dating coach. So we need to stress that this is all done with a sense of fun, today's podcast.
Sense of fun, yes.
As
I'm not here to hurt anyone's feelings.
yes.
If you knowing my history is in the services, so you can understand why I have this no BS approach, which is that we are too kind with feedback to the point where we're not given feedback. A motto I live by is hurt me with the truth, don't comfort me with a lie. And I
Ah,
feel like in dating that is really needed to be hammered in. So yeah, we do this with the kindness and the love and the excitement of love again. But yeah, please know it is quite direct, and that's what my approach is. That I'm not going to be your friend that just tells you what you want to hear.
I'm exactly the same. That's why we get on, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was thinking what you're saying now. We are too kind to people. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to do that.
Yes.
We need to empower people. And I was thinking, I went away this weekend and I thought of how the children do races nowadays at school. And everyone that does the race gets a medal, gets a certificate at the end of it for taking part, participation, which is great. It stops them
Mm-hmm.
getting jealous and upset, but it doesn't really help them learn moving forwards. I went away this weekend and look what I've got. I've got a medal.
Oh,
And
you have.
I've actually got three medals. I've got one for winning the quiz, one for asking for one, and one that my brother gave me for joining part of my team that he didn't win to get the quiz medal. So I gave my kids these medals anyway. That's what I do. I'm very
Yeah.
generous. But the point being, if you just ask for a medal, it doesn't really count, but it does to me. But I think going back onto dating again, because I'm sure we can go off at tangents. What
Always.
are the most common, completely nonsense rules that you've heard?
Again, from coming from different sectors, I think from my point of view as a woman, it was more this stigma that comes from saying that we have a preference on height or we have a preference of looks. Again, we all have our own preferences, and that's okay. And it may not be like suitable for the other person, but to flip that and for men to have their preferences on weight or looks again,
Mm.
where we kind of attack them for this, and it's more about this like mutual ground that we all have preferences.
Yeah.
And one isn't wrong and one isn't right. That's their preference. And as long as you're not being mean about it, we've got to stop putting filters on photos to mislead men into into matching us, etc. So then when we are meeting someone, we are seeing who they are before, an actual photo, actually them. Whereas men need to be more honest and stop lying about height, because it is an insecurity. Because when you meet someone, so I think it's more so that there's constant micro lying going on in dating to impress someone that ultimately is going to reject you when they find out who you actually are. Um,
Mm.
and our time is precious on this planet, James. So I'm very much for like, we can do this honestly, like then it will go a lot quicker and we'll find out if we are a match or not.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I had a client earlier today and she wanted to take 5 years off her age. And this is a common thing with my female clients. And
Yes.
then she wanted to change her name because her name is quite well known. It's not the most uncommon name, but it's not a common one either.
Yeah.
And she wanted to change it. I said, well, you're going to have to turn up on this date. And you have to confess at some point that you've lied about your age. Then you're going to have
Yeah.
to say that your name isn't the same name. I think people are trying to cheat the system a little bit to get more matches. And that's
Yeah.
fine if you know how to beat the algorithms and know what you're doing and make a good effort. But really, you're right. Everyone's allowed their own preferences. And
Yeah.
even things like ethnicity this is quite an important thing, and religion.
Education as well.
Yeah, education. And people always feel a bit embarrassed when they call me up and say, I want men who are educated. They feel embarrassed to even admit that. But if you're educated, you're going to want somebody educated. And there are some dating apps out there that won't let you filter on ethnicity, for example. They
Mm-hmm.
don't believe that you should have that choice. I think choice is important to everybody, wherever you want.
Yes.
If you do decide you only want somebody who's 7'2", then that should be your preference and your choice. Your luck and your
Mm-hmm.
success rate are going to be tiny, tiny pool of
I'm
people.
glad you said that.
Yeah, it is, but it's not going to work. I think being open-minded is possible, and it's our job as coaches to encourage people to be open-minded. But you can't help fancying who you fancy, and that's it.
No,
And that's an inborn thing, and
exactly.
that's it.
Yeah.
Then on the other hand,
Sometimes, oh, go on. Sorry, James.
go for it, go for it.
I was gonna say, like, sometimes for me, I am that person that said I would like to date 6 foot and over, but I also dated people under that age category to really find myself if that is why have I got this opinion. Oh, most people have got this opinion because you hear over 6 foot, tall, dark, and handsome, and
Yeah,
6 figures. You have this idea in your head, but in like for me, it was really testing the idea. So I did date quite a few men that were shorter than me or not at my height, and I'm 5'8". So in the women world, I'm up there somewhat. So for me, it's just about being honest about yourself. Like the fact that we have a line on profiles just makes me sad. It really does, because
yeah,
if we are going to be showing this to 3 generations time, It scares me to see where we're at. We already know that we're going to be at like more women single and childless. We know that by what we're seeing going forward. So,
Mm.
like, what else is the dating scene going to hold for our children? And I think their children as well is what we need to really be focusing on. Like, if you want to lie, you lie, but the ultimate damage that you're going to create in a relationship based on lies, it
Yeah.
is further, so much further down the line that it's being ignored. Yeah.
I've had that myself with clients. I remember years ago, I almost dated somebody at an event I met, and I didn't date her, but my friend ended up dating her. And I didn't see
Oh,
him for a year, and he turned up again, single again, at another event. We're only sort of casual friends. We met at these events. And he turned up and said,
good.
well, I said, how, but I said, how was that working out with her? He said, well, I found out she was 15 years older than she claimed to be. And all the trust went immediately, and that was the end of that. But he dated her for a year before he found out the
Yeah.
truth. Imagine the waste of his life and waste of her life just going through that. She must have held this secret for 15 years. But so I think that we're trying to say here to everyone listening is just be honest. Be honest.
Just
That's the
be
important thing.
honest. Yeah. Like, if you can't be honest, what does that show the other person? You're not confident in yourself to the point where, and we know this saying's being thrown around way more, but people pleasing. In
Yeah.
essence, you are people pleasing. So,
Mm.
yeah, unless you want to attract someone that's either, going to take advantage of that or ultimately build a relationship where you're both sitting on something, even if it's a secret, it's not that it doesn't pop in your head again and again and again. You don't forget the stuff you like say, especially age. Like, yeah, I've experienced that a lot with men, James. I will be honest. So yeah, the photos are from like 10 years ago. You know, um,
Yeah.
that's my experience. But I also know that women are just as deceiving.
They are. Everyone lies and have the filter. Women are more likely to have the photo apps and the filtering pictures to sort of soften the lighting and make them the better and enhance their eyes. And I've heard all this. You may get an initial boost by having that, but then you're going to disappoint people and have more rejections at the long run. And
Yeah.
it's a waste of
Yes,
your time.
completely. Yeah,
Waste of your
wasting
time.
your time. Well, why are you on here? You're on here to find love, or you're on here just to find someone to be friends with. Like,
Yeah.
what is, if you're on here for love, then yeah, what's the point? And
Yeah.
it's our generation now. So, like, the millennials that are dating, we're the biggest daters, 28 to 35, 25 to 35 age category. We're the most daters at the moment. We're the most people on the apps. We're the dominating age category. So, we're all in an era of life where we are seeing all this self-help stuff. We're hearing, and seeing our parents and maybe their relationships aren't great or they are perfect and you've had really good role models. But
Mm.
nine times, well, we're seeing more so in, Plymouth as well, is that we're raised with single parents. So we haven't grown up with these healthy relationships or even role models on healthy relationships that help grow that in us. So yeah, I've come here and been like, okay, well, I dated this way through this and this, using this neuroscience method, and it worked. It built my confidence. I figured out who I was, why I attracted the people I attracted, and
Yeah.
so on. And it's hard work, but it does work. And then you become the person you would date.
Yeah. That's what you have to be. You have to, if you're not the person that you date, then go and work on yourself until you are. Because
Yeah,
why would they be interested in you otherwise? You have to be the best version of you. And I encourage all my clients to do that. That's
yeah,
important.
that's
And
awesome.
yeah, and self-love is a topic that comes up all the time in the podcast. But it's so important because you've got to work on yourself, you've got to do the work. But anyone that's listening to this is doing the work because they are willing to download a podcast called The Love Machine, listen to us talking. So well done.
Yeah,
We're going to applaud you, anyone out there listening,
yeah,
or indeed watching this,
definitely.
because that's great. That's wonderful that you're doing that. I think that's so important. People are doing it. So our audience is there listening to us, aren't they? Which is great. But let's talk
It
about some
needs
of
to be
the,
heard. Yeah.
it needs to be. Let's talk about some of the other completely nonsense rules.
Yes.
I'll give you one
Throw
for
some at
example.
me.
I'll give you one. We're going to talk about the 3 day rule, which is we mentioned in my intro, because that's even today I heard that. I had a lovely client tells me that she doesn't really like having to wait 3 days before she responds to somebody. And that's what people are told. They're told this 20 years ago in The Rules, which is a famous book that came out. And in The Rules, it says that the best way to get a man interested is to keep him waiting. So if he texted you, you wait 3 days, or wait 3 days until after your first date and then contact him. And the
Mm-hmm.
reality of this is, in this modern day, if you wait 3 days to contact a man, then two things are obvious here. Number one, he's going to move on and find someone else and assume you're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to
Yeah.
ask, why hasn't the man contacted you in that 3 days as well? What's going on? And that's what I said to her. I said, why aren't these men contacting you? They've obviously been put off at some point anyway, because it's stupid. What are your thoughts on it?
Um, well, absolute BS for a start. If you're interested in someone, why wouldn't you text them? We have all got our phones attached to us. Maybe, going back to our grandparents' generation where they committed to meeting each other at a certain point and they met each other or they didn't. We've got the luxury of having mobile devices that everyone's got glued in their hands. So
Yeah.
for anyone who's interested in me personally and not text me for 3 days, that shows disinterest. Also, we've got the fact that men now know this information that the women are doing, which is to try and be not too keen because we don't want to seem desperate or clingy. And actually, no, I like you. I want to speak to you. There is a line. We work, we have lives. I can't speak to you all the time. There is also, and when we talk about flags, I do talk about them gently because I think that it's really good for people to start getting out their heads and more about what's in front of them and who the person is. So
Mm.
if someone is overly keen, there's a typically it's more so that what I receive is that people do not text back straight away, and then other people will then be like, oh, okay, saw him on social media and he posted on social media. So why isn't he texting me back? We know that on a dating apps, people are speaking to more than one person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that going forward, just being realistic that most humans are not just committing to one person when they match with someone. They have got other people, hopefully, to match that they've matched with as well. And that if you're not showing interest, whether you're male or female, like more for you, because that shows the other person
Yeah.
why should I try? And again, game playing on the flip side of it is that if I'm interested and I feel you are doing that to me, I'll still text you and be like, hey, and be normal, maybe
Yeah.
to kind
Counter
of
it.
break that, counter it, but also to just show like I'm not playing this game. I get other people play this game, but that's not how I play. So again, another rule in how I recommend my clients today is that if they do match someone, they pause their account. You've matched them for a reason. So if you've got other people that are on, waiting to speak to you, and probably more side from the woman, like having different women speak to and men having like a couple men speaking to women, is more that just commit to one person. There's no competition. You're not comparing him to another human that's maybe 1 foot, one like centimeter above the person you're speaking to, and be able to give it that chance. So I think that again, if we can eliminate certain behaviors in online dating, we would have more authenticity definitely going on.
Yeah. It's true that many dating agencies that I work with, you can only see one person at a time. You're
Yeah,
not encouraged to multi-date. They used to be. They used to encourage you to date all the people that you want. And my school of thought was that you wouldn't go for one job interview and then stop going for job interviews. But now I'm seeing the benefits from other clients who are really making it work. If you're forced to only have one possible match and you get on, I wouldn't necessarily pause your account before you've even met somebody. But if you have a
no,
couple of good first
no,
dates, then do it.
yeah,
Then you can decide and then go for it. But something that you said there made me laugh. It was you said to me that men know the games that you're playing because men know these rules. They've read these books. And in the same way, women have read the books that men have read. Like the game. I'm sure you've heard of the game where
yeah,
men are told to be rude to women because then you're going to make them feel that you're better than them and you're going to distance yourself. Absolute nonsense. And go and talk to the non-hot friend rather than the hot friend because the hot friend will get jealous. No,
yeah,
the hot friend's going to walk away and be speaking to somebody else. If you like someone,
yeah,
go and talk to them. But my point being that everyone knows the rules now that you're told that is nonsense, and everyone's read this. And all the stupid little tricks people do, they haven't evolved. People are still doing this. And so people know this. And unless they've been
yeah.
hiding under a rock for the last 20 years, they're not going to work anyway. So treat people as you like to be treated. That's something I like to say as well.
Yeah, if you would like, I think it's open conversations as well. I think it's okay to say, like, I would only like to speak to you. And I think that
Yeah.
shows the other person, definitely in this sort of world where game playing and rules and teachings have played such a massive role to the pandemic that we're in now. Why have we got so many dating apps? Yet we've got the biggest single pandemic of our entire existence. So like there's a middle ground somewhere, but yeah, we've got, I think it
Yeah.
starts with us as humans stop playing these games and trying to fit in these lines that don't belong to us anymore.
Yeah, they're outdated. And
They're
like you
so
said, they're
outdated.
so outdated. Years ago, like you said, it was a limited pool. You would go out and you'd meet somebody from work or meet someone in your area or community. That's all you had. And you make it work. We wouldn't be here now if that hadn't happened to our grandparents
Yeah.
and great grandparents and so forth. But something else I wanted to ask you, this is another completely nonsense rule.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
maybe you might differ. Maybe you won't.
Maybe. I like if we
I like,
do.
I
That would
like the
be so
LGBT.
cool.
And this is the belief that it always has to be the guy that makes the first move. And this is an interesting thing to mention today. Now, this won't go live for another 6 weeks, but right today, I've noticed that Bumble, the famous dating app, has announced that they're changing that women have to make the first move on the dating app, and they're changing this over. And women always say to me of a certain age that I would never approach a man, I would never contact him first. It's not a feminine thing to do. My belief is, particularly online, if you don't be first and contact somebody, somebody else will. If you don't talk to that guy, at least go over and smile at him, give him the indication you're interested, somebody else will step in and you'll go away on your own. What are your thoughts on this?
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that there's a stat I learned which kind of saddened me, but I'm all for making the first move. Just so I'll
Okay.
throw that out there. I've approached men, and again, this was during me learning how to date.
Mhm.
Um, but there's a stat out there where like 86% of women would prefer the man to make the first move,
Yeah.
yet 76% of men are scared of coming across creepy. So
Yeah.
we've got this like massive conflict right now, which is dominance is sexy. And as a feminine energy, if we break it down to energies, like a man doing is what a woman would like to receive. However, as women, we've kind of obliterated them feeling safe to do that right now. So even if this is released in 6 weeks, it doesn't change the fact that men are feeling this way about approaching women. I believe that it's kind of down to us maybe to take this one and say, okay, we may have gone a bit too hard. I'm now going to start dropping that hanky and giving them the cue that
Yeah.
says, I like them. And obviously, we don't carry handkerchiefs anymore around with us, but we can go up to a human being and tell them that we think, they're a good looking human and we would like their number. We can do that and still remain the lines of the dominance and feminine and masculine energy.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, James. It saddens me, this subject, because apart from women trying to like remasculate men and make them feel safe in approaching women again,
Mm.
I can't see how we can get this balanced.
No.
I can't, yeah, I'm still working on it. I'm working with other people on what
Mm.
the solution is here, because Bumble, for me personally, was brilliant. Like, was
Yeah.
brilliant. I loved that I could help make someone feel comfortable enough to like,
Yeah.
okay, speak to me. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm not going to kill you. I'm like quite normal. Hi. And for them to remove that feature just saddens me. Not that I'm going to jump back on dating apps anytime soon, but if I was to, Bumble would be my place because of that feature alone.
I agree. I wanted to contact them myself today and say, look,
Yeah,
you
like
need some better
protest.
advice on this. You need some advice. Get an expert in properly to sort this out. Maybe a male point of view might help. I was thinking, but
Yeah,
I will contact them at some point, maybe this week, because I'm interested to see. But that's another story.
it's a big decision. It's a very big decision. So
Yeah,
I would like to, I'd take that what they are saying is based on research and based on their own, own ideas. However,
mm,
I think it gives women the power that is needed to then make men feel comfortable again to approach us. So yeah,
yeah.
it's like that middle ground Bumble for me.
You
Oh,
mentioned you mentioned the stat there as well, that 86% of women would like a
ah,
man to approach them.
yeah.
I bet in reality, 86% of men would like women to approach them as well.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
But if we go back and rewind like what, 15, 20 years,
yeah.
that would not be the case.
No, no.
So
Sex in the City era, wasn't it?
yeah, like men didn't feel scared to go up to women and tell them they were beautiful, that they're attractive, and that if they
Mm,
didn't try and get your number, they would regret it for the rest of the day. Like,
yeah.
these simple little lines that in
Mm.
actual fact is true that could make such a difference. But again, it needs work from both parties here.
It does. I like it when someone comes up to me and
Yeah.
starts talking to me in that way. I'm not single, of course. Anyone listening, I'm not suddenly single. Touch wood in
Yeah.
6 weeks' time. Who knows? After saying this, but it's nice. It's nice as a guy. We say, well, it's always nice to be approached by someone just to pay a compliment. Because if I pay compliments to men and women. not in a sexual or flirty way, but I pay compliments. It's nice. That's what I do. It's genuine. That's how I make people feel good. If you want to make someone feel good, if you're a female, go and say something nice to a guy, and then walk off if you want to. It doesn't matter. Just make them. Even just saying hello to people is scary nowadays. So do something about it as you go forward.
Yeah.
This sort of comes on to sort of playing hard to get. We've touched upon this a little bit, but there's a,
Mm.
a complete nonsense rule that women should play really hard to get, and they should be unattainable, and they should never talk to anybody and make the guy just chase, chase, chase.
Mhm.
Which is complete nonsense, as you just pointed out already, because you're a
Yeah.
balance. It's a seesaw relationship, and you're ups and
Yeah.
downs, and you've got to work together.
Also, yeah, completely. I completely agree with you. And like, such a good question, James. You're throwing them at me today. Um, I what we've got to remember is that yeah, we came from like cavemen, okay? And what did cavemen do? They went out and they were providers, and they were the ones that did the chasing. If they wanted a woman, they normally had more than one, but if they wanted a woman, they would, go and get that woman.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one because we've changed so far, especially with technology, etc., that I don't think playing hard to get works for either party at all. I think that dark psychology hacks on TikTok or the pickup artists all over Instagram and saying to people, say this and this will make them do this. And there's a lot more of that available now. You've got even, and again, different way, but you've got like this 48 laws of power by Robert Greene that you can read, and everyone can decipher it how they want.
And seduction.
But
If you read the seduction one he's got,
I'm literally halfway through it.
yeah,
Yeah, halfway through it. Again, like we can all use this material and flip it however, whatever suits our narrative. So for me, if you like someone, you like someone. If you don't, then you're going to not show that interest. If not, you're going to have regrets about your dating experience, and you will look back and when you're ready to look inside, which apparently we are in the year of daters who are dating more authentically now. So we
yeah,
are going into an era of no drinking dates because
hmm,
people want to see who they're dating, and
yeah,
more dates that involve walks instead of restaurants, and time and effort and energy is really being looked at this year when it comes to dating because of 10, 10 years of this game playing and reading between the lines behaviors messed us all up a little bit to the point where we're like, actually, I'm just going to stay at home and be on my own. I'm happy with that. And that's
yeah.
what people are saying. People don't want to date. Men have pulled out the dating market probably more so than women.
Hmm.
And yet women want to date across an app, and men, want love and value from a relationship. So we've got to come together. It's literally about letting go and just coming together.
This should be a part two of this podcast coming up. I think we'll have to do that. But
Uh,
I'm going to raise one more question for today,
okay.
and this is about. It's not really a rule. This is more a myth, and this is the myth that when you do find somebody that you fall in love with, then your life is magically going to be complete, and it's going to solve all the problems that you've got. And it's the fairy tale Disney romance story, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on that? I'll let you answer this one completely.
Uh, good, James. Yeah, smashed it. I think that believe that definitely a bit like get a job, go to university, get a job, and buy a house, and you're going to be happy. We've been led to believe that you get in a relationship, and that person's perfect, and that you're perfect, and it's going to be perfect.
Hmm.
And I think that definitely with more science available to us, neuroscience available to us, psychology, we see that is not the case. The real work starts when you're in a relationship. And it's really funny that you asked this question because my silent investor he's currently just got into a relationship. He's on his fifth date, and he said to me, like, fifth date in this relationship, and said, Cherie, like you said to me like months ago, that the hard work really begins when you're in a relationship. And it has never sat so true to me. And I'm like, I don't know what to say because you are not just focusing on yourself and your own BS and your own
Yeah.
habits and behaviors. And now you have another human. There's way more work, but at the same time, it's so worth it. And this is what we signed up for. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect all the time, but it also doesn't mean it's going to be like angry and sad and conflicty all the time. I think they both come in hand in a healthy relationship. And
Yeah.
this is it. It's about us building healthy relationship habits that then show the younger generations that we can, we've got this. This is how we do it. You edit it as you need to because times update, but we don't need to be in relationships that, one, we don't want to be in, and two, that we don't feel loved from. You're allowed to walk away as well. And I like that essence of being able to quit when you feel it's time to quit.
You should. Otherwise, it's just a waste of your life. We've got no idea how long we've got left, like you just said.
We just don't know.
You don't
Yeah.
know. Just don't waste a second longer with the wrong person. But it doesn't mean things are going to be easy because it's always a work in progress, like you said. Even
Yeah.
with my wife, it's always every day we're still evolving and trying to work together. Kids get in the way and they complicate things. Life gets confusing, and you don't become the
Hmm.
priority anymore because the kid's the priority. But you don't
Hmm.
stop working together. I walk with my wife. We drop the kids off separately, walk up again. We hold hands walking down the road. That's just a nice thing to do. And
And
other couples do
also,
that. It's a nice thing, but that little things
yeah.
like that, it's remembering to do that and wanting to do that. Because some couples are sick of the sight of each other. Really
Well,
tired, no
lockdown,
sleep.
yeah, I think lockdown gave people a real insight into their relationship. I think if we like really had the studies of what went down in lockdown and how many people broke up or how many
Yeah.
people got together, we know that a lot of people jumped into bubbles with their Tinder matches and it worked out. I remember Radio One was following this couple the whole of lockdown and they're very happy. So again, it with everything. There's no right and wrong for this. I think
Yeah.
it's definitely down to person and how much they're willing to try.
Very true. I did a podcast with somebody years ago at the start of the pandemic who was doing that. They moved in with their Tinder bubble and they moved in. I think it lasted 3 months. They got sick of each other. But I'm ever the romantic, so I think there's always a possibility depending on thing.
Exactly.
But
We're
it's
in the
true.
industry of love, so we
Yeah.
are optimistic on
Yeah.
this, definitely. But yeah, I think again, I would love that experience personally for me, James, because dating for me can seem like people are very good at putting a mask on.
Mm.
And it's like an interview, like you've got the best version of that human. And it's not until you're
Yeah.
talking like, I think they say 90 days before you see someone's true
Yeah.
self. And I think getting given that opportunity to just fully know that person with good questions and dating coach help and psychology, I think it would be a really good idea. So maybe we should do that.
We should just
Lock loads of singles into a house together, giving them challenges and see if it works.
this is a great idea for a TV show. Let's do it. Let's put it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
I had an idea for a TV. I know what it was. I'm not going to tell you what it was. I'm gonna do this at
Keep
some
it to
point.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every time I think about an idea, someone does it. This is annoying. I don't mean you, but generally on TV. I
Yeah.
actually came up with a night, in the night garden. I came up with a concept before it became in the night garden, and which sounds like a coincidence. Only I had a meeting with the person that developed the whole thing about 6 months before it came out, and she asked me to design a TV show. Another story for another day. I will probably cut this
Yeah.
podcast, but that was another story.
That's
Yeah,
so cool.
it was a story, but it's all one of those things in life that sticks to me. But you're absolutely right. We should do something different. We should evolve and do something fun. That's what dating should be. I want to ask you one last, well, almost penultimate question now. And to anyone that's listening, and you'll know what's coming now, you'll know because you're an avid listener of my podcast, aren't you? Do you have any daily habits and things that you do? It's always good to learn from people what they do because I like people that know what they're doing. So what do you do?
I like that. So for me, I think giving myself time is something I really learned over lockdown. Like giving myself that time where I haven't got to go on my phone, I haven't got to check on my child. The animals are fed, everyone's zen, and it's quiet. So for me, waking up early has been, whether that's 6 to 6:30, has become a very healthy habit for me, and in turn helps me go bed. So downstream from that,
Mm,
helps me go bed at a reasonable time, so that whole cycle is healthier. Um,
amazing. Yeah.
avid person for going bed early, big on sleep. I feel like sleep is a very good place for us to rejuvenate, clear the garbage from our brain and be able to start again. So again, I'm ex-army, so that saying sleep when you're dead plays in my head, and it's just like I've completely 360'd on that in my life. So definitely sleep, go in bed at regular times, keeping promises to yourself.
Mm,
I don't make promises to any human apart from myself. So even if it's 30 seconds with the shower on freezing cold, like
mm.
that's a promise I told myself I would do. And once I do it, that commitment has grown in myself and the belief and confidence. So little things that you could tick a box and give you that dopamine hit and that confirmation that you are who you say you are.
Amazing. I actually do that. I do tick boxes on the app, daily habits
Yeah.
app that I've got on there, which just helps me remember to drink water, to
That James
exercise.
Clear.
No, it's just an app on my
Oh,
phone. I'll
okay.
tell you what, I'll find out, and I'll put it in the notes maybe of the show, of the
Thank you.
podcast.
Yes, I
It
will
might
want to
feel,
shout out James Clear, which is the writer of Habits,
yeah.
has released an app, and it's very satisfying for anyone that's like ADHD, like autism, to pop a bubble whenever you've completed a task every day.
Oh.
Very nice.
I want to pop bubbles now. I'm gonna have to download that. That sounds much more
Yeah,
fun than
it's a
just
free
ticking a
app as
box.
well, so
Is it?
download it. Yeah, it's free
Yeah.
and it's fantastic, and it does follow the values of Atomic Habits, which is about
Yeah.
rewiring your brain and creating habits that are healthy. Yeah,
That's a great book, that is. I'm gonna find the
yeah,
app and download it. That'll be I'll make a habit on my list to do
yeah,
that and to add it
yeah,
in.
yeah,
But it's very, very good to sort of tick it off. My brother's
yeah.
got
Be
one not
proud of
eating.
yourself.
My brother's got one on not to eat chocolate. He's gone almost a year not eating chocolate because if he eats
Oh
chocolate, he
wow.
wants more and more and more. So that's the trouble. It's addictive. But that's wonderful. Thank you for that. I do have to ask another question. What animals do you have?
I have a dog and a cat.
Okay.
She is 11 years old, golden retriever, but not golden white. So very, yeah,
Yeah.
very smiley, typical golden retriever ABBA. And then a black, slick, smooth cat
Yeah.
that's 3 years old and come in
Oh,
and took all the attention. So yeah.
lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I have to ask these questions. Otherwise, they're stuck in my head after. I have to ask them. It's good to know
Have
because
you got animals, James?
no, I don't actually.
Oh,
We've got animals. At the moment, we've got a fish tank, tropical fish. We had stick insects and they died. We've
oh,
got snails in a box that my 6-year-old is looking at the moment. We've got that. He likes to do it. But I
amazing.
would never get a cat or a dog. And why is that? You're going to ask? Because everyone's listening. I was fascinated to know why I wouldn't get a cat or a
They're
dog.
gonna be like, you don't like cats and dogs? No, please
Well,
tell us. Please tell
I'm a
us.
bit wary of dogs, to be honest. I'm not scared of anything. A dog jumped up at me when I was little a few times, and it made me a bit apprehensive. But I
Mhm.
think dogs are lovely. Not my dogs, other people's dogs. But the idea is
Yeah.
that it's always installed into me that I couldn't cope forming an attachment to an animal and then it would die after about 10 years or so. That is too much for me, being who I am, having to put all
Okay.
my. I can't deal with it. And I'm not, I don't want to say that to remind you animals are going to die if it's.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
but no, no. But I also
You've got
know, having said that, I'm missing out on the chance to have them. So I actually said to my 6-year-old that I'll get a dog when I'm 90. So the dog would die after
all
me.
right.
And then
Okay.
it can come to my grave and cry, but that's not what I mean. But I was
Yeah.
joking when I said that. But no, I think I haven't got too much going on. My kids are too young for all this. But when they move
And
out
it's
one
a
day,
yeah, it's a very realistic view. I like your realism of looking at it
yeah,
because in hindsight, that is something that all pet owners should be asked before they purchase an animal. Is like,
yeah,
okay, you do know this animal is not gonna, be here forever. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, that question, the dog license, bring that back with that question on. Yeah.
I think they should, but I think if you want to have a pet, go and get a pet. Absolutely, you're going to look after it and show it your love.
Yes.
That's so important. I'm not saying not to do this. For me, my dad had a cat when he was younger. He told me the same story. He never let us have animals as kids because of that, because his cat
Right.
died and broke his heart. And my dad was the toughest man ever. It broke his heart, and that's been instilled into me. But that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But
Well,
my in-laws have got a cat, and people have got dogs. We do get to experience them, but not for me, because
no, again, you've got children, you've got your partner.
yeah.
Some people don't like for me, Cass is a therapy dog, so she can pick up
Oh,
on emotions and she's very good for us single people. I do recommend single people get animals because it gets you outside more so like there's like really healthy benefits to having an animal, but at the same time completely respect that not for everyone emotionally because it's the commitment as well. You are tied to a location as a result of having animals.
I have to say that for my family and for my clients who come to me because I have to have a
Yes.
lot of empathy. I have to deal with this and deal with lots of difficult situations, and I feel that's how I channel that, and that's important to
Mm.
me and dealing with that. And I'm sure one day I will get a cat or a dog. It will come. I'll be
You've
pressured
got
into it. So
snails, dude.
we've got
You've got
snails. Stick insects
snails.
died. We're working our way through them.
You're doing that still. You're still giving your children that element of what a pet does. So yeah, no, I think again, yeah, you've got pets. You just don't have to probably maintain them as much.
I don't. Cherie, thank you so much. How does somebody get hold of you? How do they find out more about all the wonderful things you do?
I'm on TikTok and on LGIO Limited. I've got a web page that you can go directly to. As it stands, I'm trying to stay away from social media because I do see that social media is a problem. So I'm trying to fit in how I fit in social media without being the problem. So yeah, that my website and TikTok to see what sort of work I'm following, etc. Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. And I'll put the links to them in the show
Thank
notes.
you.
Anyone can have a look.
Appreciate that.
But I know we could talk for hours and hours now, so we probably will
Literally.
again. We could, we have, yeah, proven that. So I better go. I know you're really, really busy. So we'll talk again. And I'm excited to do more of this with you in the future. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a
Thank you,
great
Tom.
rest of the day.
You too, sir. All
Bye
right.
for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.